What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another Pioneer video, and today hopefully here we're going to get a pretty good game with this blue-white slash like 4-color control deck that we went over on Tuesday. If you want sort of a more in-depth explanation than what I'm going to go through here, be sure to check out that video, and then of course like come back to this video and watch the match that we kind of get with this deck. So I said this is a blue-white control deck, but it is also playing Lotus Field and the card Thespian Stage to essentially make it so we can play, essentially generate like 3 mana worth of lands like every single turn. So we have a pretty fair game plan for doing it. We have cards like Strict Proctor, which counter ETB triggers unless an opponent plays 2, or unless that person plays 2. So Lotus Field ETBs end up getting countered, which means that we don't have to sacrifice lands. There's also this card Discontinuity that also will do it for essentially 2 mana on our turn, which is good enough. This can also eventually just end up being like Time Walks in a way, except like on our opponent's turn. And we try to take advantage of like the burst of mana with getting to play cards like Teferi Hero Dominaria, where we can, have 2 Lotus Fields in play, and we can play a bunch of these 6 mana spells on our turn, and then untap the lands and have that mana available for our turn. We have Memory Deluge, which flashbacks for 7, that can let us look at 7 cards and get to our hand. We have Ondu Inversion, which can destroy all non-land permanents. It has the benefit of being played as a land. Seagate Restoration to draw a ton of cards. Horned Lockwhale as another win condition, and Farewell, of course, to kind of wrap everything up. We also have like a Hall of Storm Giants to try to win the game, Castle Ardenvale to make tokens, Castle Ventress to get some scries going. And yeah, that's essentially a deck. It's a fancy blue-white control deck that is basically can get ahead mana-wise on most of the decks and kind of outpace them, with how many ways that we have to play Lotus Fields, like what we can look for and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump over to our match and see what we can get into. All right, here we are with the match. We won the die roll, so that's a good start. Not usually good omens for my channel specifically because, winning die rolls is not a big fan with also turning those into wins. So here's hoping we can kind of turn that around. So they reveal Jengatha. I'm thinking that could be like Rakdos sack, and this hand might not be like the best, but we have lands, we have things that we can do with some of this extra mana. We're gonna end up playing like these 2 lands and then playing like a Lotus Field. So like if we find a Discontinuity, that'd be kind of nice. Plus being on the play, hopefully it'll kind of help us out. Like the Supreme Verdict might be okay. Because at least if we do it this way, we can play Otawara, and then we can play Otawara as our second. Excuse me, sorry about that. We can play Otawara as our other land, and then we can still Supreme Verdict. Could even be an argument for playing like just 2 island, like an Otawara and a basic island, playing the Lotus Field, and then playing like an irrigated farmland, but I think I want to leave myself open to as many options as possible on turn 2. Again, hoping that we can find opponents that play at a reasonable pace, which is kind of why I like playing the matches and then kind of going through, just because there's times where people take a while. Yep, and we are correct. It is more than likely Rakdos sack. I mean, technically, I guess we don't know for sure, but there's not many other decks that go basic land or basic swamp Witch's Oven. I'll draw a castle. So like we definitely have some things we can do with this extra mana. We got scries, we have 1/1s. The 1/1's probably not going to be like super great. Of course, our opponent probably means they're going to play a Blood Tithe Harvester. Okay. Blood token, they're going to be kind of sad. At least like this isn't going to be a huge like removal option. So Alright, discontinuity would be alright. Of course. Mr. Streamer Man. That's not Mr. Streamer Man. So that's pretty good. That's going to allow us to play Teferi, untap our lands, and we get to keep the plains in the forest around, or plains in the island around, which means that these castles will come into play untap. So we'll have 5 mana. We'll actually be able to play Teferi, draw a card, play like Castle Ardenvale, and then untap Lotus Field and irrigated farmland, and we have just castle activation at the ready. So I mean, that was definitely a really good draw. I mean, now if we can get like a farewell, like if we draw a farewell, I mean, we might just slam that just because it'll kind of clear up our opponent's board very nicely. Even if they have like a cat, they won't be able to hide the cat necessarily anywhere. So yeah, like get him for 3. Sure. I guess something that could be pretty bad is if they have Mayhem Devil, but I mean they also don't really have much more like that we'll worry about. Deadly Dispute. Okay, so they make a treasure, draw 2 cards. Probably looking for lands. And Final Blightstep Pathway. Witch's Oven. Alright, cool. We dodged Thoughtseize. Alright, Aganjo. Alright, still giving us some options. It's a fairy, Hero of Dominaria. Man, it's been so long since I've actually played with this card. I loved this card back when it was in Standard. So we have a choice. We can play this Hall of the Storm Giants because it's going to come into play tapped either way, and we're going to be able to like untap 2 other lands. So we won't be able to obviously activate these, but we have Otawara and a Gancho, or we could just make a 1/1. And I mean, this Hall eventually could just kind of like close out a game really quick, but I don't think we need to play it right now. We'll play Castle Vantress. I'm going to play to the fact of, like we still have a Ganjo and Otawara able to be held up. So it makes sense, I think, to play a castle here, and I think we have the option of just getting to activate Castle Vantress. Because I'm assuming that they'll probably attack like Teferi. Probably attack Teferi. Here we go. So put it to 2. They could. I don't know if these lists play Stomp normally. So I'll take a look here real quick off screen. Well, that is not where I wanted to go. Pioneer, Rakdos, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, I really don't see like Bone Crusher Giants or anything like that. So combat. Even then, like just having the Teferi around's nice. But like I also kind of want to I definitely want to be able to find something. Like if they play Mayhem Devil, then I'm gonna kind of regret it because they're gonna be able to like blow their treasure and do like sack the like here they could still now play a land off this. Like it now if they play Mayhem Devil, they get to sack this, make a food, get 2 cards, and then potentially just sack the treasure, get rid of the Teferi. 3rd Witch's Oven though. So now that play's not a possibility. So I mean we'll get to Scry. Deluge, Thespian Stage. So if we go play stage, copy, get to untap. We have a ton of mana, but then what? I think we can top that, bottom that. So we can draw Deluge. We'll draw a card before we do anything. Hollowed Fountain, of course. So we can go Deluge essentially for free and look, like dig for something. Which I don't know if we even want to do that like right now, but we also kind of lose out on mana if we don't do anything. Let's play Castle. There's also just the option to Supreme Verdict. Clean these guys up, protects the Teferi and like our opponent until your next turn. So I think we can do that. Well, Verdict now, I think it's a little bit worse because, I mean, they're going to get to sack and do their things, whatnot. They're going to be able to make some food tokens. Yeah, create a food, yep. But at least this way, they have less stuff to, like, sack to a dude. So Fatal Push Fable. That's fine. So, I mean, yeah, like, essentially our Supreme Verdict fizzles, but that's a-okay. I played a land. Yeah, this was newly controlled. So now we have a few options. I mean, of course, we still have Iganjo, Otawara. We have Castle activations. We have this Memory Deluge if we need it. I believe even if 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Create a food token. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets -X for X the amount of life you gain this turn. Okay, so make your food token. Say go. So definitely a farewell is going to be lights out currently if we can find it. Cauldron Familiar. Okay, so they're going to... They have a... What's it to follow it up with? It's going to be very good because then they can just deal like a ton of damage. Something to note, like if they have like a Mayhem Devil out and they just want to sack for damage, they can sacrifice a Cauldron Familiar to a Witch's Oven and then activate the Cauldron Familiar's ability in the graveyard by by sacking a food, and then respond to their own trigger by sacking foods and stuff. But they don't have it here. But something to note that's a way they could get like a burst of damage is playing like multiple Mayhem Devils and then just racking up the damage with these Cauldron Familiars that way. So we have 3 mana. I definitely think it's just Deluge. Like, I don't think that is... Alright, so we get a Farewell. Do we want this? Yeah, we'll take that. That might just be That might be lights out. Alright, hoping for like a Thespian stage. Another Teferi. So we can go... Farewell 3, 4, 5, 6. Farewell. Doot, and doot. Farewell, artifacts, creatures, enchantments, graveyards. Just the full gambit, that way they cannot get out from underneath of this. So they'll get to like drain and do their thing and whatnot. But now, like with this Teferi, like we'll have Lotus Field untap plus like Castle, plus untapping one of the castles. We'll have Otawara Ganjo. We'll have Memory Deluge. Like we'll have just plenty of things we can do. They'll get to drain us for a bunch, but we're gonna clean all this up, and they really don't have much more to show for it. So, and we have this active Teferi. I have a hard time thinking we could lose the game from this position, but I have lost more winnable games, so knock on wood, I suppose. I mean, like, while this wasn't a game that necessarily showed off, like, look at us, like, from turn 3 onward, we were playing a Lotus field every turn. We have essentially just leveraged the advantage that having a Lotus field gives us. And look at that, they had a Mayhem Devil. At least this way, put target attack. All right, so it's not 3, 4, 5. We've kind of leveraged the advantage that we kind of get from a card like that. So definitely looking pretty good for the home team, I would say. All right, so we have another Lotus field, March. So Lotus field. I guess we'll take Lotus field March. Another farewell. So let's tick up to Fairy. All right, well that was pretty good. Strict Proctor. Play Lotus field. I would not like to pay this, so we get to see this interaction, which is pretty cool. So I will not pay for it. So which means that it's countered, which means we get to keep a Lotus field around. Plus this. We'll say go. And now we have so many options. I mean, we have a Deluge in the graveyard. Untap these. We have a Deluge in the graveyard that we can flash back, and we still have 3 mana up. So if this Mayhem Devil attacks, like we can just bounce it with the Horned Lock Whale or even like other March. We can go 2 mana. I think I want to end the game, mainly because I might not have time to finish. I might not even have time to finish. So we'll play the Whale, and then we'll just get rid of this Mayhem Devil. And if they have, I guess, some way of dealing with it, you know, it is what it is. Just cast it. So 1, 2, 3. And I mean, like I said, we just have so much advantage at this point. They have 2 cards. They're going to take, I guess, maybe the Farewell over the Teferi, because we already have an active Teferi, but I'm sure Fatal Push Proctor, yep. Which means like this whale doesn't just gets to stick around. They get one of these, but I mean we also just have 2 essentially spells in our hand that are lands, so we're looking pretty good. They have 1 card left in hand. I mean they can't play their Gumdrop Poisoner from exile. There's probably not very many things that they can play. We could also just activate this Hall and just like go total beatdown. I mean, we can pay, like, use 2 Lotus Fields, attack with this, untap our Lotus Fields. Which might be what we end up doing, just to put 2 lethal threats into play. So we'll go boop, boop, activate. They both have ward too, so I mean, here we go. Get in, yep, and we win. All right, cool. So our opponent not leaving us much time. So temporary lockdown is going to be pretty good. Rest in peace will end up being pretty good. I don't know if I want veto. Can't cast spells during your turn. That's not really all that great. So we'll bring these in. March is going to be okay. Supreme Verdict's probably a little worse. I mean, it cleans up the board, but we definitely want more things that just deal with a bunch of the objects they put into play. We'll go down to Proctor. We'll go down to Fairy. And I guess we'll go down to Discontinuity. Do it like that. Kind of funny that our Lotus Fields actually actively go against Mayhem Devil, because if we play one and we have to actually sack lands to it, our opponent will get to deal damage to us. And hopefully our opponent sideboards relatively quickly. That would be really cool. Alright, let's see here. On the play, we're 3 minutes up on clock, or about 3 minutes as control deck, so you'd like to see it. So we have temporary lockdown. 2 Lotus Fields are kind of bad. But I mean, we do have temporary lockdown. We can play this onto inversion as a land, which we probably will, so we'll keep this. I don't necessarily like mulliganing against Thoughtseize decks, because then, if we went down, cards or whatever, like, we would not be very happy. Beauty about this temporary lockdown as well, if our opponent decides to just keep the cat in the graveyard instead of exile it underneath of it, the cat won't really get a chance to come back because it'll exile the token food, so they'll have to find another way to make food. Play this tapped, so go. We'll have a pretty slow, few turns. We'll play, tap farmland. We'll just kind of keep it rolling. We get to play these Lotus Fields. We'll get to lock down and play another land. Might actually decide to play castle over farmland just so we have the ability to kind of, I guess, play whatever. But maybe it really doesn't matter because I think things are usually double white or double blue. I don't think there's a world where we need double blue and then white as well. So. Alright, yeah, and that makes it a little bit easier. So we'll play this pass turn. Our opponent going beats with Cauldron Familiar. It's gonna really suck if they have an oven, and if they don't, if they have Fable will kind of suck. But if they play a Blood Tithe Harvester and then well, not even a Thoughtseize because we don't want to see him Thoughtseize. So we just have the option too where we could just play this castle and temporary lockdown. We don't have to Lotus Field right now. So we'll do that so we don't waste time. See if we, as the control deck, can win in 15 minutes. Opponent hits. They're going to pause at the end of combat. Oh, Mayhem Devil, okay. Well, not the worst thing in the world. Rest in peace. Huh. So we can rest in peace. But we can temporary lockdown, just straight up deal with these. I don't think they can really get rid of the temporary lockdown. The question is, do we think we can get more from a temporary lockdown? They played this, so they might just have something to play alongside it to kind of get the ball rolling. Alright, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to go Rest in Peace. Doesn't do anything right now, but we're going to sandbag this temporary lockdown, because even if they do have ways to sack. Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess temporary lockdown wasn't stopping that anyway, but we're going to try to be a little bit greedy and get a little bit more stuff from them with this temporary lockdown. Like how I outlined it earlier and then immediately do. I mean, I guess it's there's nothing that we could have done about it. We could have not played the Lotus Field and stuff. Of course, our opponent Thoughtseizes us right after. They don't have Thoughtseize for all the other turns, but then the turn that we play Rest in Peace. So that's going to be a little bit worse for us. Now we're looking for Supreme Verdict doesn't even do anything because we have to wait another turn. So they could look at I guess Farewell, but farewell, like a quarter of its job is being done by the rest in peace. And with them having 2 cards in hand, like their hand could just literally be a beatdown hand. And with them tanking this long, I don't. There you go. I assume the lockdown was like a lock, no pun intended, but so they go to 8. All right, so I think we're looking for. I mean, like Thespian Stage wouldn't actually be the worst because then we can cast a Farewell on our next turn, and they won't really be able to interact with the Lotus field that we make. What do they got to follow up? Cold against command, deal 2 damage, player discards a card. I guess we'll discard Deluge. 6 damage, yeah, so we're at 5. Oh yeah, so like Thespian Stage or Supreme Verdict. That's a good one. Draw a lockdown that at least each non-land permanent with mana cost 2 or less, and that gets rid of our Rest in Peace. A little bit of a non-bow, not gonna lie. But at least here now, we have some outs. Unfortunate that the Rest in Peace went into here. That's probably a misstep by me. I probably should have just played like the temporary lockdown and then played Rest in Peace. So that's the other way. That's on me. When we go to 3, we need to have an answer for this Mayhem Devil. Which, I mean, we do have a few. They got Oven. I guess if they have a cat, 3rd cat. Probably like anything, if they just have anything. Thespian Stage is not going to do it. Yeah, alright. Well, unfortunate. That was a little too slow. We'll just resubmit. I don't think any reason to like really change anything. I guess we did take out like 2 Supreme Verdicts. That's a mistake. Someone's gonna call me out for that. And like, you just took out the 2 verdicts. Like, yeah, you were exactly right. That was my bad. I guess like do that. I don't know what our opponent could be debating on sideboarding. I mean, this is the game 3 and such. So let's see here. Temporary lockdown. I mean, yeah, we'll keep this. I mean, not so like if they Thoughtseize, they have a choice between like temporary lockdown or discontinuity, and hopefully I mean, if they take this temporary lockdown with a Thoughtseize, we do eventually have to the point where we can just like play these things and get to keep all of our lands around. Impulse will find something. Yep, Thoughtseize. We also just have enough natural lands to where we can get up to a temporary lockdown. So like we don't even necessarily have to marry us into playing Lotus Field. They take the Impulse, so they might just have something like another like Thoughtseize or something like that. Which would be a little unfortunate, I'm not gonna lie. I'll play this tapped and pass. We don't really have anything else we want to do. At least this way we have a dual land in a way that we can play on a different color if we need it. Which will more than likely be blue, so we can then cast the Thoughtseize that we have. So there goes, I guess, temporary lockdown, okay. They have a Witch's Oven. Alright, that's fine. So we get to keep this around, so it means that we get to have 5-6 mana going into our turn. Don't have to deviate from our color scheme here. Castle Ardenvale. Alright, so just so we don't screw this up, do this. You'll do the turn. They do not have a land. Unless they just hurry up and click through their turn. I think they probably just did it because of how fast it, oh no, okay, they do not have a land. Alright, here we go. Castle? Yeah, if we're gonna win, if we're gonna win before I have to leave, we are just gonna have to play a castle and say go. Definitely would rather play the Thespian stage, and I think from there we can kind of start doing that. They drew a land. I'm assuming that there's a Mayhem Devil in our future. Duress, show you nothing. Unfortunate for them. So they must have like a 2-drop or whatever they want to play. Yep, Harvester. Get back priority. A little unfortunate that they did take our whatever. Come on, give us something. Onawara. Alright, go. So we can go copy, and then we have 4 mana, so we have a Gandra plus Otawara. We definitely have some options here. Cat, sure. Drain, yup. They attack, do I just make a token? I think I'm actually just going to make a token. And if they want to use a removal spell on the human token, like that's fine. Get rid of these. Definitely, I think a favorable exchange for me. Because even next turn we have like activate castle, copy Lotus Field. Unlicense her, sure. I mean, we'll tag the deluges, but I mean, we're kind of okay with that. That will end the game pretty swiftly, though. Let's go ahead and try to find a Ring Emperor Supreme Verdict. Guess we'll just take an Emperor, any order. Go ahead. So we have copy, Ganjo to take care of something. I mean, if they want to do something. Fable, okay. Yeah, unfortunate. I think I'm probably just going to have to concede the game just because I'm not going to have time to finish. Oh, and yeah, I just clicked through it. Yep, that was a mistake. Trying to hurry up and play. We should have copied Lotus Field. We'll take a draw step here. Yeah. Alrighty. Unfortunate. I'm gonna have to get going, so we'll wrap it up here real quick. So real quick to wrap it up before I gotta get going, the this four color control deck was really sweet. I believe in like the sideboard, there's like a few, like there's other cards technically, but essentially blue white control. It was a lot of fun to play, a lot of positive things to look at. Teferi plus Lotus Field slash Lotus Fields plural. Ended up being really good, just continuity. We didn't get to use as like a time walk, but ended up being really sweet. And I think overall, like we would have, had we not had to rush in anything, we probably would have won that game against Rakdos Sack. So unfortunate, but you know, is what it is. I'll put this up, and maybe we'll play some of this like on a stream or something like that going forward. Definitely give it the time that it deserves. So that's gonna do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Comment down below if there's another deck that you want to see. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, all of that stuff. That's gonna do it for me. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.